Hello, and welcome to Being True, Being Me. This time, join me in planning out the next month for my bullet journal. March is almost here, meaning it is time for me to sit down and start drawing. And yes, I know that in one of my previous videos I said that I am not exactly a fan of the aesthetic type of planning, finding it, let's say, not exactly useful. However, another thing I mentioned was that I transformed or sort of updated my bullet journaling methods to fit my needs. Unfortunately, that led me completely away from any kind of creativity whatsoever, becoming only dryly productive. Knowing that I had to prepare the planner for each month meant I had to find a new theme, and at some point actually sit down and draw it. It was some kind of a necessity. I had to do it. It was my planning system of choice, and without it, I would have been lost. So it simply forced me to do at least something each month. When I abandoned the artistic journal, I found myself happy for a time. I didn't have to spend time thinking, what am I gonna draw? What colors should I use? Is this font the right one? And in many ways, it was liberating. But I was drawn to bullet journaling ever since I found what an art creating your own planner could be. And as the time went, I realized I missed it. Playing with the words to make them look nice. Learning how to draw things I never tried before. Oh, and yes, making many mistakes along the way. That will always be a part of the journey. Honestly, I don't think there ever was or will be someone who is going to be perfect from the very start. The only thing you can control is to start again, over and over. And do trust me, I know how frustrating that is. To try, then seeing it didn't go the way you wanted, the way you pictured perfectly in your head. To try once more and then fail all over again. It just happens. This theme is inspired after a photograph I found on the internet. I believe the building was originally a conservatory. And I love the picture so much that after a very long time of doing nothing, I felt the need to create again. Little did I know what I got myself into. It took me probably 3 times before getting even the first sketch right. Being true here, I wanted to give up a number of times. I sort of cannot quite believe I did finish this month. If you watch closely, you can definitely spot the mistakes I made. I didn't want to do anything too fancy when writing out March. I felt like it would draw attention away from the building, and I didn't want that. This spread is my favorite. seeing the entire month on display. And at the same time, it is a spread I always dread to make. Why? Because I can't remember a time when I managed to pull it off without making some tragic flaw. And here we go. Not happening this time either. It didn't reach my mind that placing the ruler on the binding would make the line curve. Okay, I suppose no one's ever perfect. Despite my intentions on keeping it simple, I decided to add this little lamp to the corner. I didn't have it pre-sketched, so you can see the entire process of it. Some of the proportions are a bit off, I know, but it was my first ever try in drawing a lamp, so I think it went pretty decently. Then the page still felt a bit empty, so to finish things off, I added some stars. Completely at random, wanting to create this feeling of a night sky. The trackers. I was not a big fan of these in my beginnings, but as I went on, and especially very recently, in my updated journal, I found them quite interesting and helpful. After struggling with being disorganized for some time, they actually brought me back on track. Apart from drawing that conservatory on the first page, I strived for a kind of a minimalistic look, with a bit of flourish here and there. The mood tracker isn't exactly useful for any kind of productivity, but it is a nice thing to look back on, knowing how you felt throughout the month. Moving on to the next page, whatever page, as I call it. Sometimes there is stuff you need to write down, and there is simply no space, or it doesn't belong into any of the spreads. That is exactly what this page is for. Literally, for any miscellaneous thoughts on your mind. Besides, it wouldn't be a proper month for me if I didn't find a page where to put some kind of a banner. These lavenders are truly the easiest thing to draw. You sketch out a line with your pencil for how you want them to be spaced out, and then just draw these oval shapes on each side of the line. The less perfect it looks, the better. The last thing I need in my planner is a weekly spread. Again, I keep them pretty simple. These are going to be the pages I use the most, and I didn't want to overdo them. And now for the very last thing this month, a quote. I chose this motivational one, saying, "Sometimes you have to stop being scared and go for it. Either it will work or it won't. That's life." I think it is indeed a beautiful one, definitely applying to many, many things. And it stood out to me as I was scrolling down Pinterest. Now, let's have this one last look. I have to admit that after overcoming the initial struggles, I was proud of myself for how this entire theme turned out. I'm still a total amateur at this, so this was like a small victory for me. Anyway, if you held it out this long, thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you sometime in the future.